we're going to have a nice panel now from our founding partners, and I'm going to bring them all up. So of course we have Ida, Sasha, welcome back to the stage. We have Dr. Alexander over here somewhere coming up. Yes, hello. And of course, Peter, please join us as well. And you can go maybe just next to her here. Yes, please, gentlemen over here. This chair is reserved for our moderator, so we'll have you go over here. Yes, Red, moderator. Our moderator, who knows a lot about this event, has been here at least 9 years, I believe it is. She is the Director of Open Innovation at Plug and Play. Please welcome Hannah.
Amazing, amazing. What a strong panel. And we have the pleasure to actually start with the first panel of the day. Hey everybody, welcome as well from my side to Expo 2026 and 10 years of Startup Autobahn powered by Plug and Play. I have already the pleasure to work at Plug and Play 9 years, so I saw the journey growing, and I think we want to as well use this panel now to look back why actually Startup Autobahn exists, but as well look in the front what is coming next. And looking at the vision who was created back then, when Mercedes went to Silicon Valley, what Sasha was talking about, there was the question, what if we change the approach? What if we bring the best startups from all around the world to Stuttgart to actually connect them with the people really working on the car, working in the production? What if we as well bring Stuttgart to the world for innovation and connect them to as well other players? What if we build an ecosystem to really fast lane and scale pilots to implementation? And I have here in the round, amazing, the representatives for the founding partner of Plug and Play Startup Autobahn. So we have Mercedes, Plug and Play, Arena 2036, and the University of Stuttgart. So please give the panelists a warm applause before we start. And I would say we do it a little bit like this. I give a quick intro about yourself, and then we have an opening question. So our opening question actually is, 10 years ago, why was Startup Autobahn actually necessary? Why did we start actually this journey? So maybe Ida, you are VP Development, Innovation and Operation at Mercedes-Benz AG. Why did Mercedes start this 10 years ago?
Actually, I think because we did achieve a lot, yes, but we understood that what brought us where we are is not what brings us to the next level. And we did see a lot of great ideas emerging in other industries and other countries. So the whole idea was, how can we tap into that? How can we learn from that speed, that creativity, and what can we chip in? So this is, the processes, the structures, the quality, this whole operational excellence thing. We get that, and we can do that. We proved that. But we wanted to combine both worlds, and we really believe, and it is kind of our history, that if you bring great minds together, this is where real magic happens. So that's why we were so keen to start this.
Amazing. Yeah, you showed it as well. Yeah, one person cannot develop and change the whole industry. You need a buddy. You need someone else with a different perspective. Sasha, thank you so much for hiring me 9 years ago. You're partner and managing director at Plug and Play Tech Center.
Good choice, huh?
I hope so far. So 10 years ago, why from Plug and Play you thought this is necessary to build up Startup Autobahn?
So like Said and Ida said, but like from Plug and Play perspective, we had been investing 10 plus years already in startups, and as you invest in startups, they in a very early stage, and they don't have a technology yet which you can apply yet, but after 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 years, they're looking for customers, right? Because otherwise they're not going to go anywhere if you're a B2B startup for sure. No? So as an investor, and I think many investors, also very big VCs these days, they're saying it's so important to have a corporate relationship where these technologies can be tested, and hopefully a lot of them are good and they can actually be applied and implemented, right? So this was the investor perspective. But really, I mentioned that we received a lot of visits from corporations from all over the world, and they have been seeing this channel of innovation, the new channel of innovation, external innovation, which was kind of unusual. And they've been speaking to Mercedes and many other companies speaking to startups. And, conversations are good, but working with a startup is different than working with a tier 1 supplier, a tier 2 supplier, etc. Right? So, I think the idea, it was a little bit revolutionary because open innovation, it didn't really exist really over 10 years ago. So that's an innovation by itself, I think, and Mercedes was the front runner for that, So, but at the end it was the idea, if we try to tackle this new channel of innovation, we need to look at it together, like you said, and maybe also include an ecosystem and people from the value chain in order to test these topics. And I think that was the idea back then, right? So
open innovation at the end, to get the right people on the table where they actually are to make this happen. Amazing, thank you so much. No, I actually picked Alexander first. So our professor, Dr. Alexander Prem, professor and actually vice rector from the University of Stuttgart. 10 years ago, why University of Stuttgart joined? Why was Startup Autobahn necessary?
I wasn't here 10 years ago, so I can't exactly tell you. However,
we are in Denmark.
It was a kind of coincidence because not only Startup Autobahn started, but also the Arena 2036, the concept phase, and to get this ongoing. But also Mercedes-Benz decided to have an endowed chair in entrepreneurship at the University of Stuttgart, which is the chair I'm holding. So I think it was a kind of big initiative back then to say, well, we need more collaboration here in the region. And my personal interpretation is that I think the region is very rich in terms of money, for sure, but also in terms of many other aspects. For instance, in terms of world-leading brands, world-leading companies. But also, we have many students. We have about 60,000 students just in Stuttgart. And one number I recently heard, I couldn't believe, just in Stuttgart, 60 million euros are invested every day in research and development. So
this ones we have to spin out, definitely.
So I think this whole combination of these factors led to an idea to say, well, we need to couple up activities and work more together, because also this kind of richness led to a kind of feeling, I can also maybe do things by myself and wait what's going on somewhere else, and then we couple up. But this development, I think we can see over these 10 years, helped a lot also to foster innovation in the region.
Great. So on one side, again, Mercedes, you kicked off Startup Autobahn, you kicked off Arena 2036, and as well the entrepreneurship area and university. Peter, we spent a lot of late evenings in Arena 2036. We started when it was empty, now it's amazing and full, so everyone who never had a chance to go to Arena 2036, you should do it once. 10 years ago, why was Startup Autobahn necessary?
Yes, maybe first I have to correct some numbers maybe, because site is not so often in the arena. So we really grow rapidly. So the budget at the moment is 350 million per year and 150 million in the arena directly. So we are still compatible with other research areas.
But there's no competition, we're collaborating. So it's amazing we have this in UK, it's amazing.
The nice thing is a research campus and research platform can cooperate very easily. There's no competition, and that is what we're also doing. But coming back to these 10 years, so honestly there was not a vision, not a strategy, it was a gap. So we started in an arena with top industry players like Mercedes, Bosch, etc., and with top researchers. But we're missing very flexible SMEs. So the SMEs, the small medium entities which we need in this ecosystem, they are not ready to cooperate in this field. So we decided to switch to startups. We said, okay, let's look on startups and let them grow to our own small medium entities. But there was also no startup ecosystem here in Baden-Württemberg. So we traveled around, for example, to Unternehmertum in Munich. They had a long history in this. So, but we cannot do it like the Unternehmertum in Stuttgart because it takes too long. We want to something immediately. So and we decided, and we heard about also from the Spiegel activities with plug and play and so on. And we decided together with Mercedes, let's have a look on plug and play and start something quick. Yes, and that was the starting point. So let us, from top down, initiate a startup ecosystem in Baden-Württemberg. And that was the hour where the Startup Autobahn is born. So this is the the initial thing. And the most important people are not only the founder, like Said and me and the universities. There are some people, they really work hard to bring this forward. And we should not forget this too, that this Philip Knighting and Raymond Chow, they really work hard to bring this forward, and they really need an applause on this side.
I think, Peter, you said it perfectly, right? Like, we are representing now the founding partners, but there were so many amazing souls who had the vision, who execute the vision, and who's now running the vision day to day. Ida, you were starting working with startups, Mercedes was working with startups, but as well you open up the platform to other corporations to say, we don't want to do it as Mercedes alone. You went to Porsche to say, hey, Porsche, join us. You went to different suppliers. So why do you believe that collaboration is a competitive advantage actually for corporations, startups, and ecosystem?
I think the answer is quite obvious, so easy, because innovation has never been and will never be a solo performance. So when great minds come together, they can really create something. And I also think that history showed us when companies and people are willing to share their ideas, it doesn't make them smaller. It makes them even better. Because if you share something, if you give away everything you have, it just forces you to be even more creative, more innovative. So I think this is a mindset question. And the other thing is, for sure, because creativity and intelligence and innovation power is just everywhere in this world. So the only chance to get it is to combine it.
And maybe in the direction of you, Sasha. So building on what you already mentioned, so opening up this platform to other corporations, what other benefit that it brought us back then 10 years and still now?
I think it's several aspects. Number one, the idea was to have an open innovation platform, right? And then when we had our launch with Mercedes, a lot of other corporations came to the launch and congratulated and said, great initiative, wonderful. And then I followed, I said, okay, let's become partners. And then, like, everyone said, no, we'll wait a little bit, we'll wait. Like, I tell you, Mercedes is one of the greatest companies I've met. But people have a lot of respect for Mercedes, especially the suppliers, you know? Like, so in the first 6 months, when I talked to people, they were a little bit shy, honestly, no? But we received, thanks to the first steps also from DXC, they were our second partner, kind of, they broke the ice, I must say, you know? And then shortly after, Deutsche Post DHL came on board. Shortly after, BASF came on board. I think, like, again, like when it came to Porsche, it was a big deal, you know, which went to the boards and supervisory boards, I believe, you know. But eventually, again, they said, if we really want to create an impact and really want to create the best startups from all over the world to come to Stuttgart, which Stuttgart for startups, you know, like normally 10 years ago was not the most attractive place. That's what, you know. So, like, but together we would have had more power to attract really the best tech in the world to come here and to collaborate with the corporations on the platform. So it was this magnet topic. Then secondly, sorry, I'm talking too much. I know, but it's a mindset thing also. No? Working with a startup. And again, when somebody, for example, from Mercedes Engineering met a startup 10 years ago, you know, it was a different mindset back then. And they said, okay, no, I do it in-house, I can do it myself. Any company, I don't want to. And then, but if you have a Porsche being there, you know, and looking at the same technology, all of a sudden, you know, they're becoming a little bit more interested in looking at the technology too. You know, wonder.
A little bit competition always helps.
So, like, it's one. Then, thirdly, I also want to clarify, you know, we are not sharing any secret topics, you know, like, but there is some topics which make sense to look on together, really, and it's like topics like sustainability, for example, or supply chain topics, you know, like, it really makes sense to look at those topics together and maybe even collaborate together on those kinds of things. You know? So.
I think the collaboration part you mentioned is really great because we see as well a lot of cross-collaboration between different partners, and I think this really brings the impact of an open platform. Alexander, why is research important for this kind of platforms? How talents are involved? And do you have maybe one story of a startup from Stuttgart who went to Startup Autobahn, and where do they stand now?
I think we as a public university, we also create two things actually. One is knowledge, which is usually measured in patents, and the other thing is talent. So people who work in all these fantastic companies we have here around in the region. And these two areas, we invest a lot. We have most probably the biggest science campus in Germany up there in Vaihingen. And this is maybe due a bit to the very sympathetic Stuttgart understatement that we have these fantastic facilities. We have more than 3,000 PhD students. But is there enough in terms of entrepreneurship? And do we get enough out of that you as companies profit, but also the society as a whole can profit from that? And this is where we thought it's a good idea to invest in Startup Autobahn, to work together with Arena, to provide space to the startups, to collaborate with industry. We have very many nice examples there, and to also show our students that being an entrepreneur is a fantastic thing. When I started my company 20 years ago, people were sorry for me and said, well, didn't you find a job at Siemens and another company? And these days we have students approaching us and say, I want to have my own startup. Maybe they don't have any clue what they want to do and how to do it, but this is something we can work with. And this is why we are training more than 700 students now each semester, just at my chair, to help them finding out what is entrepreneurship about and how to make it happen. And some of the examples, one is NICE, for instance, who went here through the program, but also Cyclize, a very interesting startup using plastic waste to get as a result different gases, went through the program. So I think this whole platform, this international visibility, is something extremely valuable to us.
I think this point we mentioned is really great as well, right? We say we will bring international startups here, but Stuttgart as well has so much strong founders. You as well meet them today around. Peter, let's wrap it up. So why do we need a real space? Why are we not doing this digital? And our Arena 2036 already have 2036 in the name. So in 10 years, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so first I think with the startups, we are very successful. So that helps us to bring us in this innovation where we today in the Arena 2036 in artificial intelligence, humanoid robotics, etc. And we have brought a couple of 8 startups from 2 main startups to a really small, medium entity to 30 people, 40 people, and running alone with their own budget. So, and we have very famous now, the Syriac, they get 110 million budget now, nice. Which also is grown on our platform in the Arena 2036. So, and I think that helps us to bring the idea much faster than in the past to the market. So the mixture of top innovative companies, big companies, tier 1s and tier 2s, and the researcher, and now the last 10 years now with the startups, it helps us to keep the speed on the ground for this, to bring it very fast outside. So this is a wonderful story. And having, I would say, in 10 years, us together here again, and I think we have not discussed about how we started. We discuss how we can scale up more of these startups, much more. Though in the moment we are still having some startups, but in reality it's too less. So we have to do much more startups. We have to learn how to scale up much faster, that we can use it as big companies. Because if you are not mature enough, we cannot use the startups. So we have to find methods and financing ideas how to scale up faster.
I think this is a great wish as well here in the round. We unfortunately only had 50 minutes and we have so many more questions and topics to talk. But we will talk I think in the audience later. So we're celebrating today 10 years, but this is as well a promise. And I think there's a beautiful chapter in our story we can actually write. So I would say let's write them together, and happy anniversary Startup Autobahn. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.